When you hear someone mention God, sweet tea, and the SEC, you know they're talking about the American South.
They found a diamond in Trinidad Chambliss, and I'm going to tell you this: if they keep rolling like they are, that his name will be mentioned in Heisman as a Heisman candidate.
Does the Florida win against Texas keep Billy Napier's job? I think it might. You know, Napier always has that win every single year.
You can't spell second to none without the SEC.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the American South. I'm here with my buddy Colin, coming at you with some more SEC news updates and just talking about everything that's happened in the last week, man. What an awesome week of football games, dude. It's crazy that the season just seems like it keeps progressing so fast, and time just, I don't know, dude. It's like we're halfway through the college football season already. It's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah, you know, football's flying by, and there's a lot of games this week that were good, but I still don't think that there's a separation between the great teams and the good teams in all of college football, let alone in the SEC. One game that surprised me this week was the Arkansas playing at Tennessee. Arkansas, obviously, first game under Bobby Petrino and only losing by 3 points. I believe that was really good for the Razorbacks, even though they had 3 turnovers. But Tennessee coming away with that win. Obviously, I figured that would happen, but I'm surprised if the Razorbacks played that close with Tennessee in that game.
Yeah, I didn't expect it, and we talked about that in our predictions too. And with us being from the state of Arkansas, obviously, you know, we both were honest with our feelings about it. We didn't think that the Razorbacks had a chance, even with Bobby Petrino. But they came out and they fought hard and played a great game for the most part. You take some turnovers away, but the one thing that you have to look at is the way that defense played, man. The defense looked much better than they have in the weeks past. So there were some encouraging things for Razorback fans in that football game.
Yeah, you know, Bobby Petrino coming in, you knew that the defense couldn't go from awful to top 10 defense in the country, but you wanted to see that aggressive defense that you knew the Razorbacks should have, and you definitely saw that in this game to hopefully further along in the season.
Right, man. And if I had to pick a surprising game for me, I'm going to say, man, there's a few games I think you can touch. I mean, I think you could touch on Washington Ole Miss, but we're going to talk about all these games anyways. But the one that surprised me the most was Georgia Auburn. A lot of people are talking about Hugh Freeze losing that job, but man, I think Auburn's a tough football team. I think they had more total yards, or right at the same amount of total yards that Georgia had, and most of that was in the first half.
Yeah.
I think something like 224 of their yards were in the first half. So it was a defensive battle. I know Auburn's been struggling offensively, trying to get it together, but you just got to finish. Obviously, they had a call that, I mean, everybody's going to talk about that for a long time. But I really think that Auburn football team is better than people are giving them credit for. And I'm not even saying this just to I don't care if Hugh Freeze keeps his job or not, but I don't think Auburn fans should rush him off. They don't look that bad. And I think as the season keeps going, they're going to keep getting better. But I was just super surprised at how Auburn competed in that game.
Yeah, you know, there's that one call, and Auburn's been playing close with a lot of people, and I believe they are better than their record shows. But no, another game in our picks last week in the Texas-Oklahoma game, we both picked Texas, and I was kind of shocked that Texas won by that much and shut the Oklahoma offense down. Mateer did not look as good throwing those 3 interceptions, but, you know, it's not that surprising because we both picked Texas to win in the Red River rivalry, but I'm shocked at how big they won by.
Yeah, man. I mean, we knew that Texas defense was tough. That's something that you and I had talked about. The question mark, obviously, was how Mateer was going to look coming back after that first game back from hand surgery.
Yeah.
But even then, I saw kind of what that offense looked like against Auburn a couple weeks ago. And Auburn does have a good SEC defense, and Texas defense is just as good as Auburn's defense. So I knew that Oklahoma was going to struggle to move the football, and it really was going to come down to what Texas could do with the football. And they found a way to get into the end zone, put points on the board. They found a way to ultimately win that game. And I don't think people should sleep on Texas because they're figuring it out. I mean, we knew it would be a process with a new starting quarterback. It's going to take time. And although Arch Manning does have a lot of talent, it's not one of those things that just happens overnight.
Yeah, Texas offense finally is beginning to figure it out, and you knew that Sark would get that offense figured out. Like you said, Arch Manning's extremely talented. You just got to get that offense rolling in the way that Arch knows how to play, and his style of play is different than Quinn Ewers from last year. Also, that Alabama-Missouri game, I know we're talking about a lot of them, but Alabama-Missouri game, Missouri had a chance to win, and they should have won this game. Throwing that pick at the end, I believe he doesn't throw that pick at the end. I think Missouri goes on to win that game eventually. But no, Alabama, both of those teams look strong, and Alabama looked really good on the road in Columbia.
Man, here's the thing about Alabama. Their defensive line is not great. They're not the best, but they do enough to keep themselves in ball games, and they have an offense that is just stacked, full of talent. They've got 3 talented receivers. Ryan Williams last year, everybody knows his name from everything he did last year, and he's not even probably the best receiver on this offense right now. And that's saying something because he's a talented kid. And then you got the running back, and his name is slipping me right now, but he went down to injury this week, and I think he may be in concussion protocol. I'll find that name out in a minute, but their quarterback Simpson's playing really well. Their offensive, I mean, they're clicking on all cylinders as far as that on that side of the football. If they can keep doing that, they'll be all right. But let's not forget, Missouri, like you said, played them very well. And I've seen a lot of people talking about Prebula and how he played and kind of dragging him down. But, man, from watching the game, other than, couple of throws that got away from him, and just trying to make a play happen at the end of the game, trying to win a football game, he played really well. And if you take that away, he's the reason that they were still in that game. Granted, Missouri's one of those teams that can shove the ball down your throat. I mean, they can do it. So,
Prebula coming into the season has actually surprised me with the amount of talent that he actually has. And Ahmad Hardy, the running back from Missouri, has been absolutely unbelievable, having almost 700 yards now. And Missouri's going to run the ball, and they're going to figure out a way to run the ball. And Bo can do that as well. And so I'm really shocked on how Missouri's offense has progressed this year.
Yeah, dude. Me as well. I think that everybody kind of slept on them a little bit early, but they're one of those teams in the SEC. I think they're actually legit. I think that we're going to see – we haven't seen their best yet. They're going to continue to grow, and I think that they may be one of the teams that we're still talking about at the end of the season.
Yeah, so last week we played the game of ranking our top 3 SEC jerseys. This week, who is your top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC currently, starting at number 3?
Man, it's really hard to do this. So, as a Razorback fan, I wanted to put Talon higher because of how well he is playing, and it's hard to ignore. He leads the nation in total yards. So that's one of the guys there that's really hard to not put him on the list, but I had to put him at number 3 because the other 2 guys that I have on here right now are pushing their team to win more ball games. And Talon isn't doing that yet. And we saw that this week against Tennessee with the 3 fumbles. It's like, well, he had 2 of the 3 total fumbles. Talon's right there to where he's got to make some decisions a little bit quicker. And I wrote that whenever I think I wrote that in my game notes from Tennessee. His indecisiveness was like one of the things that you go back and watch the film he has receivers open and he's just not getting the ball out. But yeah, my number 3 is Taylor Green.
Yeah, number 3, Talen's really good. It's just there will be some games where he looks like the best player in the SEC, and there's some games where he looks like the worst quarterback in the SEC. You know, he's got to have more consistency. At number 3, I have John Mateer. Obviously, he showed coming off of his injury against Texas this week with the 3 interceptions, and that honestly put him lower for me. If this was last week, he would have been 1 or 2 on my list, but I have him at number 3.
Yeah, that's a solid pick, man. I like Mateer. It was just really hard, and there are a couple of other quarterbacks that I really look at and see. You not just statistically, but like just putting their team in a position to win football games,
Yeah.
and stepping up when the situation calls for them to step up. And so anyhow, I like Mateer, but he honestly didn't even make my list.
Yeah. That's why he made number 3 barely.
Moving to number 2 for me, I have Joey Aguilar from Tennessee.
Wow.
I've been really high on him all year long. So I've kind of paid attention to them more this year than probably in years past. And the guys putting their offense in a position each week to get it done. He looked very good against the Razorbacks. And I really like Aguilar. I think he's going to propel Tennessee to potentially another college football playoff berth.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I got Joey Aguilar at 2 as well. He did extremely well against Razorbacks. Obviously, Razorback defense stopped him a couple times, but Tennessee had no turnovers in this game and scored 7 points. Definitely enough to win in any ball game. And so, yeah, I got Aguilar at 2 as well.
Man, number 1. So I feel like college football always needs for lack of a better word, like an enigma. They need a big personality. They need someone who you look at and you're like, oh, this is like Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. And if I had to for someone to carry that weight and continue to play as well as he plays and literally to lead the team that he's leading, that no one thinks of this as that no one thinks of this team as a 5-1 football team right now. No one thinks of this team as having an opportunity to place top 5 in the SEC every year. So I got Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt as my number 1 quarterback.
Yeah, culture-wise, he has absolutely turned Vanderbilt into one of a top 10 SEC team probably for the next few years, even after he leaves. Right. And yeah, he has that. I mean, Johnny Manziel was on the field of Vanderbilt, I believe.
Yes, he was.
A couple weeks ago, making some crazy gestures to the fans. At number 1, after the first game of the year, I thought it was absolutely terrible. I thought he was going to be bottom 3 quarterback in the SEC, but I honestly have Ty Simpson at number 1 quarterback. He's shocked me. And what was the stat? Ryan Williams last week against Missouri had 0 touches, and Caden Proctor, their left tackle, left guard, had 3 or something, some insane stat. And so everybody's shutting down Ryan Williams based off last year, but I think Ty Simpson has actually played extremely well. And at the end of the year, I think he'd be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. No doubt about it.
Yeah, like I said, they have so many weapons on their offense. Their offense is clicking. He looks really, really good. There was a throw last week that he made against Missouri, and it was for a touchdown. They had the one where they threw it to the running back, and the running back kind of runs over the linebacker right there into the end zone. But then they had another where the receiver slips in behind a linebacker in front of a safety, and he just puts that ball perfectly over the linebacker right to his receiver, hits him right in the hands. Just a perfect throw. And I was like, he's getting comfortable in the offense. He has a very talented arm. I agree with you. I didn't have him in my top 3. A little bit of the homer in me with Taylor Green didn't have him in there, but man, he is a great quarterback in the SEC. I'll give you that.
Yeah, there's no question. He's progressed over years. Props to him with the transfer portal, the way to staying and being a backup for those 3 years and staying behind and learning the offense and then going in and succeeding there. If you were to make 4, because there's probably going to be 4 college football or SEC teams in the college football playoffs. I would assume that there's 4 SEC teams. You never know. Could be 3, but I would bet there's 4 this year with how talented from 1 to 8 the SEC is. So how many of those 4 teams do you have, or what teams do you have in the college football playoffs?
Man, it's so hard right now because we're so early in the year. So
Yeah.
obviously, like, it's predicting. So, like, on 4, I put this team or this team simply because there's no telling how the year is going to turn out. And I hate to do that. I hate to have like a tentative list instead of like a for sure list. But number 4, I've got Missouri or Tennessee
Okay.
right now. Both of those teams are playing really well. The only question I would have about Tennessee is their defense going to keep them in enough football games to allow that offense to do what it does? But Missouri, on the other hand, if they can run the football like they have been and let Purbulla do what he does off of the run, and their defense is really tough. We saw that against Alabama. I think that they're much closer to a lock for me than Tennessee is, but you just can't ever tell what's going to happen in the SEC week to week.
Yeah. With this being only, 6 games left, 7 games left for the rest of the year, a lot could change. A lot could change in 2 weeks. At 4, I have it kind of like you. I think I have LSU or Tennessee in that aspect. I think LSU's defense is one of the best in the SEC, showing that week after week. LSU's offense has really struggled, though. I picked LSU at the beginning of the year to win the SEC, and their offense is just not getting it done. And like you said, Tennessee, Joey Aguilar and that Tennessee offense is just unbelievable. And I think it's going to be a shootout if their defense gets one stop. I believe Tennessee has a chance to win every single game because they could score every single drive.
Right.
And so I think they're going to be the ranked number 4 to get in to the college football playoffs.
Okay, who do you have at 3?
At 3, I got Bama. I think like Tyson from being my number 1 quarterback in the SEC right now, Bama surprised me. Obviously, having that 1 loss already. They have a big game against Tennessee this week. But I believe they get it done and sneak their way into the college football playoffs as a 3rd-ranked SEC team.
Yeah, so I also have Alabama as my number 3. Like you said, big game against Tennessee this weekend. We'll touch more on that in a little bit. But right now, with how they're playing, I think you have to put them as the number 3 team out of the SEC in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and number 2, I have Texas A&M. Their defense is a lot better than I imagined. Marcel Reed, like we talked about last week a little bit, has really stepped into that role as a second-year player and made that Texas A&M offense truly incredible. They're ranked now 4th overall, I believe. Indiana just surpassed them, but no, I think A&M will easily get in to the college football playoffs and have that home field advantage. I think they have one of the best home field advantages in all of college football.
Yeah,
that will help them in the college football playoffs.
The 12th man is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
I went there during COVID, and it was allowed then with 70,000 people in the stadium.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was a good time. But number 2, I have Ole Miss. I think that defense is solid. It's another one of those teams. The defense is solid enough, and the offense is good enough for them to win games. Obviously, they had a hiccup against Washington State this past weekend, but who do they play this weekend?
Yeah, I believe they played Georgia.
Yeah, they played Georgia, so they were looking ahead. You can't convince me that they weren't. They didn't spend a lot of time on Washington State. They knew that they were going to be able to do enough to win that football game. They did enough to win that football game. But man, Ole Miss their offense is multi-dimensional. They can beat you in so many different ways. Their defense is going to be just good enough to keep them in football games. So that is one of those teams that I think has a real shot of making a good little run there in the college football playoff. And my number 1 is Texas A&M. Already said Alabama. I have Texas A&M as my number one, man. They're playing such solid defense, and the way that they play offense, they slow it down and keep the ball away from the other offense. And I just think that that's the kind of – this is like an old-fashioned SEC team, the way that they're playing football. Like, they're going to play ball control. They're going to keep the ball away from you. And that style matches up well against everybody. So I love what Mike Elko's doing down there in College Station.
Yeah, number one, I have Ole Miss. Obviously, last week in our picks, I said that the Ole Miss Washington State game would be close because Ole Miss is looking ahead to Georgia this week. I think Trinidad Chambliss, he obviously didn't play as good this past week, but in the other games that he's played, he has been one of the best players in college football, and I believe he made that offense a lot better. But no, I truly believe in Lane Kiffin. Now he could choke in 2 weeks. You never know. But no, I got Ole Miss being the number one team that I believe will make the college football play. So I got Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama, and LSU or Tennessee making it. I think there'll only be 4 that make it, obviously.
Right.
But
just to talk about Trinidad Chambliss for a minute, that dude, I mean, he's good. Like, he threw for 253 yards last week, 2 touchdowns. He threw 20. He completed 20 passes on 29 attempts. He ran for another 15 yards and a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're moving the ball so many different ways. It's one of those. They had 430 yards of offense. I mean, they're gonna be a tough football team to beat.
And I believe their running back Quan Lacey is second in the SEC overall in rushing yards, I believe, just behind Ahmad Hardy. And I think, honestly, that Ole Miss can score in any way possible. And I believe that could easily help them going in to the later parts of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So looking in here to the next part, you want to go power rankings, starting at number 16 and working our way down. Let's do 4 at a time, 16 to 13.
Okay. At 16, I've got Kentucky. I go Kentucky at 16, Arkansas at 15, South Carolina at 14, Mississippi State at 13. Kentucky, I mean, I don't really feel like I need to explain that very much. I feel like a lot of people might disagree with me about Arkansas, but they haven't won any games in the SEC yet, so it's really hard to power rank them anywhere. And although there's some teams ahead of them that are in the same position, I just haven't seen enough from Arkansas to say that they would be anywhere else. South Carolina, man, I really had higher expectations for them this year.
Yeah.
And they've just underwhelmed. I really thought that they had a chance to beat LSU, and they didn't. Mississippi State, I think they kind of got fraud checked by A&M. And so right now at 13, a lot of people are going to disagree with me about that. But I think we'll let the rest of the year tell the story. Anyhow.
Yeah, number 16, or in order, 16, 15, 14, 13. I got Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and then I got South Carolina. Kind of like what you said. Mississippi State beat Arizona State, and everybody thought that was crazy. And then they haven't really done anything since then. I believe Arizona State is not as strong as it was portrayed for them to be. I got Arkansas at 14. Their only 2 wins have been against Alabama A&M and Arkansas State. So 2 bottom teams. Now the other 4 teams that they've played have been extremely difficult, but they haven't won any close games, and that really scares you in the SEC with every game likely to be close, within 2 scores.
Where are we at?
16, 15, 12, 11, 10, and 9.
Okay. I'm going to go, man, I've got Auburn at 12, Florida at 11, Oklahoma at 10, and Texas at 9. I think Auburn is better than a lot of people think that they are. I think they're going to surprise us with some wins later in the year. They haven't done anything right now that would let me move them up higher in the power rankings.
Yeah.
But they are going to be a good football team that's going to be hard for anybody to compete with. Florida's right the same exact thing for me right now. Their defense is playing really well. If they can get their offense figured out, they're going to be a really tough beat. And I think they're one of those teams that, as they work out of this gauntlet to the easier part of their schedule, they're gonna start to look a lot better. Oklahoma got fraud checked by Texas, and they're gonna continue. That's gonna keep happening as they play some of the upper echelon of the SEC, and then Texas, I've got them at 9 right now simply because their best win is against Oklahoma. But they have a lot of room to move there. I still think that they're a good football team, especially as Arch Manning's growing and figuring himself out in that offense. And then with that defense on the other side of the football that can slow anybody down. They have an opportunity. They could beat anybody.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe at 13 I said South Carolina. I'm pretty sure. I meant to say South Carolina. So at 12 I got Florida, Auburn, Vanderbilt, and OU. Florida, like you said, they're coming out of that gauntlet into an easier schedule from what they've been facing this year. Auburn having those close wins. I believe they're better than their record shows. Their defense, like you touched on earlier, has looked a lot better. And then Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma losing big to Texas this week. But Vanderbilt, I like Vanderbilt, but there's so many good teams in the SEC that I had to put Vandy at 10. But I do like Diego Pavia, and I believe he can win SEC games down the stretch. It's just they're not completely put together, I don't believe. So at 8, 7, 6, and 5.
Okay, I've got LSU at 8, Vanderbilt at 7. So if that's a little foreshadowing for what I'm thinking for this weekend, maybe. Tennessee at 6 and Georgia at 5. Man, LSU, their quarterback is banged up again. They had a struggle win against a not very good South Carolina team. Their quarterback, what's his
Nussmeier.
I kept wanting to say not Nussmeier. I couldn't think of what I was thinking of something else. But anyhow, Nussmeier had 3 interceptions against
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Sorry, guys. And I thought with him back this year that they were going to be much more talented than they are. But, man, really, once we start working our way up here, it's harder to, differentiate these teams. Obviously, I'm putting Vanderbilt ahead. I think Diego Pavia is going to lead Vanderbilt to a win over LSU this week. But Tennessee and Georgia beat Tennessee. Tennessee missed a last-second field goal to win that game.
At Georgia.
Yeah, and I hated to put Tennessee behind them, but right now you have to because they have a loss head-to-head. And Georgia is not the Georgia of the last few years, and I think that they're gonna slide down to a 3 or possibly a 4-loss team before the end of the year.
Yeah, at 9 I have Texas. I think that offense is finally coming around. Just got to get it more efficient with Arch Manning, and then I got Missouri, Georgia, and Tennessee. I have LSU pretty high just because of their defense, but I'll get to that later. But I got Tennessee at 5, Georgia at 6, Missouri at 7. Texas at 8, Missouri at 7, Georgia at 6, Tennessee at 5. And then, just like you talked about, at 4, I got LSU. I just think their defense is a lot better. I picked them to win it all, or win the SEC at the start of the year, but Nussmeier has really struggled this year. And I think that's really hurt the LSU offense. And then I got Alabama. Like I talked about earlier, Ty Simpson's unbelievable, and I think they'll easily make the college football playoffs. And then I go Ole Miss and A&M. I picked in the college football playoffs A&M and Ole Miss to be switched, but Ole Miss barely beating Washington State last week. I put them back one, and just in the power rankings. So I believe A&M is the best team in the SEC right now, and I believe they'll have a blowout against Arkansas.
Yeah, well, that 7.5. But the spread to me is insane. Seven
Yeah,
and a half points. It just
that's
blows my
insane.
mind. But man, I got going rounding out the top. I got Missouri, Ole Miss, Alabama, and A&M topping it off. I think Missouri, like I said, is going to continue to play well with that defense, running the football and letting Purbuella play off of that run game. Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss is one of the top probably 5-6 quarterbacks in the SEC right now. Alabama, Ty Simpson's a stud. Their offense has so many weapons, and their defense can do just enough to keep them in some games. And A&M, they're gonna ball control you to death, and their defense is stout. They got a really strong front seven, and I think that they have a real opportunity to be one of the best teams in college football at the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll get to the games here in a second, but that Arkansas Texas A&M spread is 7.5. That is outrageous.
Right.
There is no way.
Yeah, it actually blows my mind.
So we can go into our game picks here, starting 11 o'clock on Saturday. LSU at Vandy. Got to be a little quick with this one. Who you got winning this game?
I've got Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I think LSU turns it around here. Honestly, I think Nussmeier turns it around. The defense is going to stop Vandy's offense. But I think it'll be a shootout, honestly. Not a shootout. I think it'll be a close game. Sorry. But I picked LSU to win this game.
Yeah.
And then the 11 sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you said, an 11 a.m. kickoff. I just think I don't know how hobbled Nussmeier's going to be. I know he sprained his ankle in the game last week. So that kind of swayed my opinion. But I really just feel like that Vanderbilt's going to find some kind of magic this week again. And I could be wrong. That's the beauty of this is like I don't know that's what's going to happen. But like the man himself, like Diego Pavia, I think he's just going to get it done.
Yeah, going in 11:45, Oklahoma versus South Carolina.
Tried to convince myself that South Carolina's going to win, but
yeah,
I just don't think that they are. I've got Oklahoma in this one. Their defense is so talented. Lenore Sellers, I think, is just going to struggle for another week, and I think Oklahoma is going to figure their offense out this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got Oklahoma winning this game by a lot. 2:30, Ole Miss at Georgia. Who you got in this one?
Man, I'm going hotty toddy. I think their defense is going to do just that. Georgia offense worries me. That's the thing about them that scares me, and I don't think that they're going to win as many football games as they normally do and I don't know what it is. Like they had Stetson Bennett, but you think about all the other quarterbacks that Kirby Smart has had, and he hasn't had any other quarterbacks that really win football games for him.
Yeah.
He's had game managers kind of, but he hasn't had any quarterbacks that like go up above and beyond. Like Carson Beck when he's there didn't. He goes to Miami and looks like a stud now. I mean,
yeah,
man, I don't have a lot of faith in Georgia right now, and there are going to be a lot of people come at me for this, but I got Ole Miss in this one. I think Trinidad Chambliss and that offense are gonna do work.
Yeah, I believe Ole Miss gets to win in this. Like you said, Georgia's offense has not proven anything yet, and I believe if the Georgia-Tennessee game is switched and it's is at Tennessee, I believe Tennessee easily wins that. Home field advantage in the SEC is one thing that goes into every single game, obviously.
Right.
But 2:30, touched on this a little earlier, Texas A&M at Arkansas.
Man, obviously the fandom in me wants to. I think I obviously have A&M winning this game, but man, I'm going to tell you something. There's something about this game that it feels different. I feel like that Arkansas is going to put up a good fight, but the only thing that worries me is that front four on the A&M defensive line slowing Taylor Green down. That's the thing that concerns me.
Yeah, obviously wanting Arkansas to win, Bobby Petrino being at Texas A&M and then coming to Arkansas. I think it could be close, not 7.5 points close, but Taylor Green is going to be running for his life every single play. Offensive line is improved for Arkansas, but Taylor either got to get the ball out short and fast, or he's got to escape the pocket and use his athleticism. But I think A&M wins this game easily. At 3:15, all these times are Central, by the way. Mississippi State at Florida.
I got Florida in this one, man. I think Florida, their defense is going to slow that offense down, and I really feel like, dude, they're getting better. I don't think they're a poorly coached football team. I don't know what happens in the weeks that they don't win games that you feel like they're supposed to win or they should compete in, but I think they're going to win this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Florida comes away with the win. I don't think Mississippi State's that good. Had a great start to the season, but I don't believe Florida is that good. Going to the 6:00 game, pretty terrible 6:00 game here. Texas at Kentucky. I feel like I know who you're going to go with, but
yeah, man. I mean, it's hard to go away from where you've been going. And after the win last week, Texas is essentially playing Oklahoma again. It's the same setup. Team with a really good defense, not going to hurt you on offense. I feel like Texas is going to beat Kentucky pretty big again. They're going to have another big week.
Yeah, I got Texas as well. So I'm trying to look at the spread here. Spread's at 12.5 for Texas. I think that could be close. I think Texas offense continues to dominate in this, and they get the win. Tennessee and Alabama, arguably the best game of the week in the SEC compared to Ole Miss and Georgia. I think both those will be a great game.
Yeah, man, I'm really on the Alabama hype train right now. I'm excited to see, obviously, Kalen DeBoer have some success, and not in spite of Nick Saban, because obviously Nick Saban was so good for college football. But I have a feeling part of the reason that Tennessee let that Arkansas game be close is because they were getting ready for this. And I got Tennessee, man. I really feel like they're going to pull it off.
Really? I could see where Tennessee was looking ahead to this week. But no, I got Bama in this game. I think Ty Simpson does enough, and with it being a night game in Tuscaloosa, I think that really goes into effect there. And I got Bama winning the game. And to round it off at 6:45, Missouri at Auburn. Who you got winning this game?
War Eagle. I got Auburn, man.
Really?
I don't know. There's just they're figuring it out. They had their offense figured out last week against Georgia in the first half. It kind of slipped away from them. They came out in the second half. They didn't adjust to what Georgia's adjustment was on defense, and that hurt them. But man, that Auburn football team's good. And I said earlier, I really felt like that they were one of the teams in the SEC that people were not respecting enough, and they are better than what their record shows. And yeah, man, I like Missouri. I really think that they're one of the teams that can be around at the end of the season, but there's just something about this game. I think this is a trap game for Missouri this week.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that, but I got Missouri. I think Missouri's offense is unbelievable with Prbula and Ahmad Hardy. I think that's a top 2 duo in the SEC. So I got Missouri winning this game. Going back to the scoring last week and the start of this, I am 7-0 and Tyler is 6-1. So we're going to keep track throughout the rest of the year. This week we got 8 games, so a little more to choose from. But another thing, sticking on that Missouri topic, Missouri to start the season has had 6 straight home games. That is unheard of. Not unheard of, but in the level of college football playoffs, you want to go play the difficult teams. They played Massachusetts, I believe, and Central Arkansas.
Yeah, man, they've had an easier go. That's the other part that ruled into me on this game, was that it is a true road game. They haven't had a road game. And so you look at that and you're like, okay, well, how are they going to fare in a tough environment against a good Auburn football team at night in front of a good crowd, and things aren't going their way? It's like it's hard to adjust to that. That's why it was the perfect storm for them to play Alabama at home last week, and that gave me a little bit of confidence in Missouri. And we're going to find out this week at Auburn at night, and I really have a strong feeling about Auburn beating Missouri this week.
Yeah, the spread set at 1.5, and I believe it'll be a close game. Looking at one of the toughest schedules, we haven't really picked up on this yet through the year. South Carolina's schedule is absolutely brutal. Obviously, playing Oklahoma this week at home, obviously, but then going to play in number 6 Bama at home, number 5 Ole Miss away, and number 4 Texas A&M away in 4 straight weeks. That has to be the hardest 4-game stretch of any team in college football. That is what you find in the SEC every single week. There's gonna be, or every single year, there's gonna be a team who plays 6 ranked teams, 8 ranked teams, and now with the 9-game SEC schedule, you can see 9 ranked teams on the schedule, and so that's where the Missouri type scheduling is gonna come in the near future.
Yeah, man, and that's something. I mean, that's something that you look at and you're like, oh my goodness, the way that Auburn or South Carolina's playing, it's like they have a rough stretch. They've had the LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, like you just said, we list them all off. It's going to be tough, and then the road games. But man, that's part of being in the SEC.
Yeah,
and it looked like Shane Beamer had kind of adjusted, but man, I don't know if Lenore. I don't know what happened in the offseason, but something didn't click. And they're not the team that I thought they were. And you talk about tough schedules. Florida had a brutal stretch there at the beginning of the year. I'll pull that up real quick while I'm talking about that. Arkansas had a brutal stretch at the beginning of the year also.
Arkansas has 4 losses. Obviously should have beat Missouri, both a fumble on that one to end the game, and then a fumble against the 5th-ranked team in the nation at their home at Ole Miss, and then getting stomped by Notre Dame. That was a trap shoot, I believe, to get Pittman out the door, and then losing this week at Tennessee. All 4 of those teams are in the college football playoffs, with Memphis being that group of 5 team currently as we speak. And so Arkansas's had a brutal schedule so far, and they still play Texas, LSU, Missouri, Texas A&M this week. So Arkansas still has a very difficult schedule.
Yeah, man. And then to hop back over to Florida real quick, they play at LSU, they play at Miami, host Texas, which they win that game.
Yeah.
They go to A&M. They're hosting Mississippi State this week. Then they're going to host Georgia the following week.
And then later in the year, I believe they have Ole Miss and Tennessee still to play.
Yes.
So, like I stated earlier, going into the year, Florida had the expectation, I believe, of either going 2-10 or 10-2. There was no in between. If it was a great Florida team, they could have gone 10-2. But with the schedule, they're going 2-10, not 2-10, but it's going to be a rough year.
Right.
And the gauntlet is still not over. But that is what you see in the SEC every single year.
Yeah, and then back to the Razorbacks. I mean, I don't think that their heartache is over yet either. I mean, we got A&M this week. Then we have Auburn at home next week, which is that's probably a coin flip. Then you got then you have Mississippi State at home. Feel a little more confident about that one. Then you go to LSU. Then you go to Texas.
And then you got Missouri
back at home. I mean, as a Razorback fan and all of you watching, if you can find 2 wins on the rest of that schedule, good luck. I mean, I don't see it, and man, I'm a lot of people are hopeful for Bobby Petrino, but I don't think that's going to pan out. I don't see us winning 2 more games on that schedule.
No, I believe we only win 1, and it is against Mississippi State. Looking at the SEC rankings, we have 10 SEC teams ranked right now, with South Carolina, Florida, Auburn and Mississippi State all being ranked this year. Arkansas and Kentucky is the only one who hasn't been ranked at some point this year, and that goes into the sovereignty of the SEC.
I like that. I like what you just did there. So, for those who don't know, this is something new that we did. We put it up to a fan vote what the name of our podcast was going to be, and the two main choices were Southeastern Sovereignty or
The American South.
The American South. And the American South ran away with it. It wasn't even close. But we both really like Southeastern Sovereignty. So, but man, here's a question just off the cuff. The argument obviously is becoming, as the Big Ten surpassed the SEC in football, do you think that we see an SEC team win the national championship this year?
Man, the last 2 years the Big Ten has won. Big Ten with Indiana and Ohio State being top 3. Those teams look good, but I'm pulling up Ohio State's schedule here. The gauntlet that the SEC teams have to go through every single year. It's like basketball and even baseball. Basketball, Arkansas is ranked 14th and 5th in the SEC. It's just like football. Ohio State doesn't have a ranked team left on the schedule. They play Wisconsin this week, who is not good at all. Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and then obviously the last game of the year is against Michigan, who they'll probably lose to. Throughout the year, they beat Texas, obviously, but Texas's offense has not been, or Texas, the whole team has not been as good. They beat Grambling, Ohio, then they beat Washington, Minnesota, and they just beat Illinois by 18 this week. They're the number 1 team in the nation, but strength of schedule, they've got to be 65th.
Right.
With Penn State not being the team that everybody thought they would be and firing James Franklin as their 3-3, I just think I believe an SEC team will win it this year. I don't know which one, granted, but I think there will be an SEC team win.
I agree, man. And like you said, the hard part about it is that at the end of the year, the SEC teams cannibalize each other.
Yeah.
We're talking about 4 SEC teams being in the college football playoff, but because of how many teams can beat you in the SEC, we could have 2. You could have several 4-loss teams or 3-loss teams, and you look at the games this week, and I know I just gave my Razorbacks crap, but they could sneak up on some of these teams. Old LSU, you can't count them out. Texas could figure it out. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia, Missouri.
There's 10 teams, and even you could put Florida and Auburn back in that conversation. I don't believe South Carolina is going to go and destroy a lot of teams, but there's 12 teams that can beat themselves up and get 3 or 4 losses that could knock them out of the playoffs.
Right. And so I agree with your point that the Big Ten has not surpassed.
No.
Maybe the top of the Big Ten the last 2 years has been a little bit better than the SEC, but I don't think that those guys would have been in that same position if they had to play in the SEC every week. And they're talking about how because Northwestern beat Penn State, it's like, oh, you can't take a week off in the Big Ten. It's like, man, but they lost to UCLA the week before. And if that's to your point, then, UCLA, they look better, but I don't think that they're not great. USC's not phenomenal. And I don't want to just sit here and berate every team in the Big Ten, but you literally can't take a week off. Like A&M can't come to Arkansas this week and not be prepared.
Yeah, they can't look forward till next week.
No, and I hated to even suggest that Tennessee did it last week, but we'll find out. And you look at
you look at away from the Big Ten into the Big 12. Texas Tech, like Ohio State's schedule, Texas Tech does not have another ranked game on their schedule at all. The Big 12 is very poor. And same as the ACC. I don't remember how many teams are in the ACC that are ranked, But Clemson was one of your top dogs, and now they're have 4 losses, 3 losses. And so it's like football and NIL is absolutely changed the trajectory of how it'll be.
Yeah, the cool thing is the parity that it brings, that how even the SEC is from top to bottom. But the crazy thing is like it's just like fitting in. Like, you know, obviously we talk about some of these teams at the bottom. It's like there is parity, but there's also like it's hard for some of these programs to survive the way that they're doing these things. So, but man, any final thoughts before we hop off here? Is there you got a game of the week for this week?
I think the game of the week will obviously be Tennessee and Alabama. Every single time they play is just a must-watch game, you know. And I believe that'll be a duel of both offenses, and it'll be whoever's defense steps up. But like I said, you got Tennessee in that game, and I got Alabama. We're kind of mixed on our picks this week, a lot more than it was last week, obviously changing one game last week. But I look here, looks like we've changed 3 of the games. And so let us know if you're watching this. Let us know in the comments what you disagree on our games, power rankings, top 3 quarterbacks, whatever that may be, and give us ideas on what to post or what to talk about in the next podcast.
Yeah, my game of the week is going to be Ole Miss at Georgia. I feel like that's probably obviously a giveaway, but with the playoff implications, and then, you know, Tennessee and Alabama also big playoff implications, but I think we're going to find out. The biggest thing, I think, like we kind of know what to expect out of Tennessee. They played Georgia already. Alabama's played, you know, Georgia and Missouri, but Ole Miss is yet to play a team on the caliber of Georgia yet. So we're really going to learn a lot about Ole Miss this weekend. So I think that's a game as SEC fans that everybody should keep an eye on.
Yeah. As the weeks go on, we will begin to know more about every single team as they play more SEC games. So it'll be a fun rest of the way. Make sure you follow.
Yeah, well, for Colin, I'm Tyler. For Colin and Tyler Callahan, this is the American South. We appreciate you guys hopping on, taking the time to hang out with us, and we hope you guys continue to enjoy the content. If you don't mind, like, subscribe, follow, whatever social platform you're following us on. Check us out, comment, give us ideas. Just get involved. We enjoy hearing people's opinions, even if we don't agree with them.
Right. That's a great part of America.
And the American South too, brother.